All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I've been going over some programmatic examples using a simple miles per gallon program based off of most of the chapters that are in our textbook, JavaScript 6th edition by Sasha Vodnik and Don Gosselin. When I left off last time, I was having some problems getting stuff to line up. And before that, I just about was finished with chapter 5 and 6. I've given a couple examples of using the DOM, and I wanted to show you what I ended up doing. And I'm sure there are better ways of doing it than this, but I had the margin right, and that's what was goofing things up. So I set a margin left that was a negative margin to push this over the other way. And long story short, I now have this, which looks much nicer than it did before. Again, you could make a case and say, you know, Jeff, when you did this, I really would have had one less blank line in here or something like that. So maybe that looks a little nicer, but it looks fairly symmetrical. It doesn't look too bad. So as far as I'm concerned, I pretty much can put to rest now chapter 5. So I am going to do that. So onward and upward. It's not the same color. It's time to go into, well, really we did 5 and 6. So we're done with both of those two chapters. I'm not going to go over chapter 7 using object-oriented JavaScript. So I'm going to jump next into chapter 8, which is manipulating data in strings and arrays. Now this program that we have here, this simple or fairly simple miles per gallon program, is not a good one to go over string and array concepts. So what I decided to do instead was to go out to the site getting there just a sec. https://javascript.info, and they have about a 20-page long document on arrays and about a 20-page long document on strings, and they go over some fundamental concepts of both. So I thought I'd go over these instead of using the program that we've been using. So that's the plan for right now. So I actually thought I'd start with arrays. So they mention again that arrays are collections of ordered data. There normally is some kind of a correlation between the data elements. It might be a list of grades. It might be a lot of things. Now, one thing that differentiates a JavaScript array from arrays in most other programming languages is that the elements or the members of a JavaScript array do not all have to be of the same data type. They do in many languages, they do not in JavaScript. So they say that arrays exist to store ordered collections. Okay, so we can set up an array in two different ways. And again, I guess I'll come back in here and let's do this. I'm sorry, I should have done this beforehand. I guess I could pause the video, but I don't really feel like it right now. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over and go back way to the beginning to the chapter 1 stuff, because that was about as simple as we had it. I'm going to copy everything from chapter 1. And I'm going to throw it into chapter 8. Oops. All right. And I'm not going to write comments and stuff like I have been doing. I can go back if wanted or needed to later and do that. All right. But what I'm trying to show you is I'm just going to call this arrays example chapter 08, I believe this is. And it is. It's chapter 8. All right, so I'll do that. And that's it for here. But I can now take this other stuff that I've done for chapters 5 and 6, and I can get rid of it. All right. So let's open up the JavaScript for this, which will be script.js. Again, I can go add this other stuff later, but what I'm going to do to try to make it simple is I'm going to get rid of everything that's in here. All right, and I'm going to take it from the top in the, what we have here. Copy. Now, if I were to come in right now and put this in a program and run it, I'd get an error. And I'm asking you, do you know why I'd get an error? In fact, I probably would get an error, so let's see if I do or not. I'll tell you what, I think we put this into a main, so we'll say function main. But again, my guess is when I run this, I'm going to get an error, or else nothing will happen. But let's check either way. All right, that's what I thought would happen. I'm redefining this. So although the book says, and correctly, or this article, you can define an array in two different ways, you can't give two different arrays the same name. So let's say this was array 1 and this was array 2. Both of them would be initialized to a brand new empty array. In fact, I believe if I try to do an alert on this, on either one of these, so if I say alert, array ARR1 contents plus ARR1, I should get a different message here that says either an error or I should get something that says it's undefined. Contents, there's nothing in there. All right, I thought it would show undefined, but evidently it's not showing anything. Now, again, most of the time when you do this, you won't do it like this. You'll set up an array, and here's an array that we've set up and we've initialized. Okay, this is the one that they're going to end up using for many of the examples. Not every one, but many of the examples that are in here. So let's get rid of this line, and we'll just replace it with this line. Okay, so what do we have? Let, and I don't even think you need the word let. Okay. I don't know why you'd need the word let. I don't know why you couldn't use var right there, but we'll leave it at let. This is going to create a brand new array that's called fruits. All right. And this right here, what you're seeing is the same thing as if we had said this. Let fruits equal bracket, bracket, and then fruits 0 equal apple. Probably guess what's coming. Fruits 1 equal orange. And fruits 2 equal plum. So you might say, fine, I'm going to do it this way all the time. It's a lot less typing, which is true. But what if you set up an array like this, and then you ask the user via a prompt statement with a that you put the results into a variable and you said list your 3 favorite types of fruit or list your most favorite fruit. They might say apples, they might say oranges, they might say plums, they might say something else. So this way of initializing an array works great if you know what the initial values of the array should be. So again, this is a string array right now. It's got only strings in it, and it's got 3 elements. Doing it this way allows for more versatility. Because again, if we wanted to, if somebody came in here and said, well, my favorite kind is a banana. Boom, that's all you have to change then. You can go in and change it this way too if you did it that way, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying here. All right, so if we do this and then we do an alert of these 3, it's as it says, this is what we should get. So I showed you this, so I can really get rid of that now. Now, if this works the way that I would believe it would work, we'll get 3 different arrays in here. The first array will, for the first example, as it says there, it'll say apple. Then you'll get another alert that'll say orange. And then you'll get another alert that'll say plum. Should make sense to everyone. Oops. Apple, orange, plum. No biggie there. Nothing that should be of any surprise really to anyone. All right. I already showed you how you could replace an element. Okay. So if we come in here and say this, so we're going to come in and say fruit sub 2 equal pear, and this could be single quotes or double quotes. So we should now have apple, orange, pear. And let's validate that. Okay, so we'll put, how about this, just so we've got it, original plus, all right, so we'll put that in front of each one of these. And here we'll put modified. Again, I'm just doing this so you can see exactly what's happening in here. So the original, as we'd expect, has apple, orange, plum. The modified has apple, orange, pear. Okay? Again, hopefully looking at that, it just, you're like, well, that just makes sense. Good, that's where you should be. Now, they show an example in here, and there's nothing wrong with the example. It says another way that you can add a new one is to do this. Whoops, all right. That we can come in here and do this. So we say fruits sub 3 equal lemon. Now we have apple, orange, pear, because we just changed this, and lemon. So instead of modified, we'll say with add. All right, and of course now we can put in and this one should say lemon. Again, I'm working my way through all this and hopefully it's making some sense to you. So, apple, orange, plum, apple, orange, pear, apple, orange, pear. Now this should have lemon. Okay? What if I did this? What if I came in and when we were printing these out here, what if I came in before I added element 3, what if I did this? All right. So I'm trying to print out the value of fruits sub 3 before I've even set a value for it. So let's see what that does. Apple, orange, plum, apple, orange, plum, pear, undefined. Because that element doesn't exist yet. Now we've created it, so we've got apple, orange, pear, lemon. Okay? Hopefully going through these like this, it's making some sense to you. All right? Now, they talk about length here, and again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but before we talk about their length, in fact, we'll do this. We will add a bunch more alerts here. Alert for each one of these. One here. Alert fruits.length, so that should say 3. Should. And then we'll do it again here. And now, since we've added an element, it should say 4. All right. And no, it should say 3 there also. Now we've added the other one. So this one should say 4. If we did this all correct. All right. All right. There's a method to my madness, so if you'll bear with me for a second, there's a reason I'm showing you this as I am. So apple, orange, pear, or plum rather, apple, size 3, apple, orange, pear, undefined, 3, apple, orange, pear, lemon, 4. So you can see how we've changed it. All right, what I should do is come in there, and I've got that thing I put in there to show you the error message, so this one I should get rid of. All right, so why am I taking the time to show you this? Well, there's nothing wrong with adding a new element like this, but I would never, ever, ever recommend doing it that way. Instead, I would do it like this. We're going to get, if I'm correct here, we're going to get the same result we just got. Good. That's what we want. But instead of saying fruits sub 3, that's putting the onus on the programmer to know the size. What if I say fruits.length, and I let the system figure out? So this says, remember the length is 3, and that's element 0, element 1, and element 2. But now I'm saying go into element 3 and add lemon. So I'm saying the name of the array with the array's length. Now we should get the exact same output on here that we got when we ran it earlier. So again, apple, orange, plum. Apple, or 3. Apple, orange, pear, 3. Apple, orange, pear, lemon. But the way that I just, or 4, okay? But the way that I just showed you this is a much cleaner way of doing it because we're letting the system figure out what the length is. All right? Now, I'm going to break this up into a bunch of smaller presentations, so I'm not going to go too much further. So you can mix arrays and put different types of stuff in there. That's fine. Not a big thing. You can also, if you want to do this, notice they put the array over multiple lines. Okay? All right, before we go into the methods, pop, push, shift, and unshift, I think I'm going to stop right here, and this will be the end of the first part of the presentation.